Hey everyone, in this episode we'll be taking a look at the movie Bird Box. Donnie and I will be exploring our overall thoughts of this film. This is going to be episode 114 of the Reel-ists podcast. Team Reel-ists, welcome to this episode. I'm Oscar.
I'm Donnie.
And we have our producer Ruben here as well.
He says, hi.
So after a lengthy conversation, we have made it eligible for Netflix movies to be part of the Reel-ists podcast review. There was a lot of debate.
That just opens up the avenue for
new movies.
So many movies.
It was a 2-1 vote, so everyone that listens, find out who picked who.
I was all for it, so.
Wow, you just made it easier. Now it's a 50-50 split. I'm just kidding. There was no split.
It was a unanimous decision, I think.
Or it was just our love for movies.
Yeah.
But yes, welcome to this episode of Bird Box. So this is one that if you haven't seen it, you can if you have a Netflix subscription. Are you doing all the birds?
Yeah, all kinds of bird noises.
Although
a chicken's not a bird, right? It's a flightless bird.
Right. You're listening to the soothing sounds
of nature.
Narrated by Donald Ray. But yes, so this is going to be a spoiler discussion of Bird Box. So hopefully you have had the chance to see it by now. Again, it was available since last month. So
it was available since what? Last month? So you should have saw it already.
I mean, there was a trend of the Bird Box challenge.
Oh,
so
yeah.
There's a lot of things
everywhere.
Yeah,
if you haven't seen it by now, I mean, it's...
At least check it out. If you have a Netflix subscription. I understand if you don't.
Or use your friend's account.
Right. I would encourage that one more so than not watching it at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, so let's go ahead and start this, Donnie. So with this movie, what were your quick thoughts? Oh, I guess not even quick anymore. But what were your thoughts of Bird Box?
Bird Box. I thought it was for what I thought it was going to be. I mean, the only reason I heard about it was because people kept saying it. Like, have you seen Bird Box yet? And I was like, what is that? And then I saw the trailer and I was like, wow, that actually looks intense and interesting. And then we saw the film and I was like, wow, not to say for a Netflix film, that sure was good because I'm not trying to
but for a Netflix
film. But I mean, for a Netflix film, that was good.
I mean, we only have one other movie recently that we saw that we can compare it to. So
the one that we're gonna review?
No. Well, I guess outside of that one, the Kissing Booth.
Oh my god,
that was I think our first Netflix.
There's
movie.
Some good films on Netflix, and there's some films that should not be considered films that are on there, but that's a whole nother discussion. But yeah,
a real conversation coming up.
Oh, maybe. But I loved Bird Box. I do feel it was kind of similar to The Happening in terms of the whole people offing themselves.
Yeah.
So it was similar in that way, and I was even thinking is this I wonder if they got inspired by The Happening, or if this was they had somebody, whoever wrote this way before that movie came out. It was kind of similar, but it was fine. It's fine because it is different in a lot of ways. Sandra Bullock was so great in this film. She was intense in the present day. So this film, it flashes back to the past and kind of it tells you what happens on a very minuscule level, just in terms of just her and the people around her. It doesn't show you anything that happens globally.
Stays small.
It stays very, very focused in on a group of people, which some would argue that's they don't like that because it's what's going on in the rest of the world. But I thought it was fine, and I thought it was intense, and I was nervous. I was on edge watching it a lot of the time. I think the whole cast overall did really good. Everyone, even down to the kid actors who played, the kids. I'll just say the kids, the little boy
and girl.
Boy and girl. Exactly. Boy and girl. I mean, they all were phenomenal. I loved it. I thought it was really good. Really, really good.
Okay. So
I didn't. Sorry, I didn't love it. It makes it seem like it's my favorite film of the year. It was a really good film.
It was not in your top 10.
It wasn't in my top 10, but it was really good.
Okay, so for those that have been living in a box and haven't heard of this movie,
But not a Bird Box.
but not in that right. So the movie is about 5 years after an I can't even say the word omnibus.
You can do it. Sound it out.
After an omnibus. No, see, no, I'm not gonna say it.
Can I say the word?
Yeah.
I just want to see.
You want to read? You should be able to read.
Do you want me to?
We're pausing.
Okay. 5 years after an ominous, unseen presence drives most of society to suicide, a mother and her 2 children make a desperate bid to reach safety.
Thank you.
Ominous.
Ominous.
I think I even said it wrong the first time. Ominous.
Ominous.
Not
That's the word of the day,
to say.
everyone. You're right. No. Okay. Anyway, so yes, that is starring Sandra Bullock, as we already know. Has Sarah Paulson. I was
Also very down Sex in the City.
And then yes, it also has Trevante Rhodes and John Malkovich.
Yep.
So that is our leading cast. Directed by Suzanne Bier or Brier, Bier, 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 Bier.
Beer, yeah.
Okay. I just didn't want to make it seem like I was completely off there. Yes, so that's our movie Bird Box.
You go,
And this is
Suzanne.
the last time we're ever doing a Netflix movie. But yeah, so I enjoyed it as a viewing of. I don't know what does that mean. Now it's completely done. As I was viewing this movie, I was thoroughly entertained, being able to kind of be immersed into this idea of you see it, you die, but you don't get to see it. I guess in a way, very odd on that. Thinking about it afterwards, though, I will say that to me it was kind of like a one ride. You get on it once, you enjoy it for what it is, but I don't think I want to go back to it. There was just nothing that was really capturing my attention that I would want to explore. And I say this because the counter to that, for A Quiet Place, that one left me wanting to go back to see what else we can do, what else can happen in this world with these creatures. With this one, I just felt like it was like an idea. Like someone said, like, oh, what if you lived in a world where if you saw, this creature, it shows you your worst fears and you kill yourself or something. And it's kind of just seeing how that play out. But there was nothing that really captured my attention. And I think it's maybe because there was too many things left too open. There was people that weren't affected by these creatures, and they were. The argument was like they were already crazy and things like that. So it's like saying, can you not fight the crazy?
Yeah. So can we just clarify this? So was it that if you already were like crazy or had a mental illness, if you saw it, you wouldn't kill yourself?
I don't know if we can clarify that, but
You watched it, right, Ruben? Or no?
That was the interpretation most people had, but I don't think there was ever like anyone that definitive said, yeah, that's why they were fine.
Yeah.
But that was the thing. That's what it goes back to, like that open end noise. Like it didn't resolve it; it just put it there. And so like there was a lot of things that to me were left unanswered.
It seems like, and I don't know. I mean, I have no idea. It just seems like because there were so many things that were unsaid, like they could come out with a sequel or a part 2 or volume 2.
Yeah, and I don't think
wish
we need
that
to see Sandra Bullock in it, though.
Huh?
I don't think we need to see Sandra Bullock in it. Like, if she doesn't sign on for it, I don't think it's a loss. Because yeah, it's too... Her story concludes nicely, unless they want to say, like, that place gets... Like,
I mean, unless we just want to see the aftermath of,
Right.
like, they found refuge, so now what's next for them?
That's true.
For her and boy and girl. That would be nice, but...
they have names now.
Yeah, they do. Wasn't it, like, Jacob and...
I
like
forgot the names that
like,
they...
What's the name of the guy and the name of the mom? I don't know.
Yeah, I forgot the names,
okay.
but... Yeah, they got named.
It
was too far in the end at that point.
Yeah, it was like for real.
Boy Girl was
By that
established.
point, we were like, we don't care about the names. They're
Right,
safe. That's
just
all that
conclude it.
matters.
But no, I really did have some joy watching it, to think of that idea, to see some of these actions of people like putting like themselves out of misery in very tough ways to watch, like putting yourself in a car on fire, letting yourself get hit by the bus, throwing yourself out the window. A lot of those things were very like uneasy to watch. So then that was a good thing. not that I want to go see people kill themselves, but
we want to see more of that.
Right? It effectively worked at what they were trying to go for with that.
It definitely was. I'd say the woman going into the burning car, that was probably one of the more disturbing ones for me to watch. I was like, ugh.
I remember your reaction. Your reaction was like very like like. I mean,
I probably threw my hand over my mouth and was like, "Oh my god!"
That's like my signature. I think so, something like that. Yeah.
That's what I did.
It wasn't the trademark. That's usually it's a good surprise. But so I will have to ask this question just because it's each person has their own answer, and I know your answer, but the listeners do not. You liked that we didn't see creatures. There was no physical representation of this entity or alien or creature, whatever it is. And why is that?
I typically, historically speaking, personally, no, just kidding.
Right, keep extending it.
I know, right?
Accurately.
When you don't really have an answer, so you're just trying to like let something flow out. No, I'm going to use this as an example. It's a random example, I know, but the Blair Witch Project. We never saw what the Blair Witch looked like. We never saw anything. We just only knew the myth, the legend, and we heard some sounds and that was about it. But it was really left up to your imagination to kind of construct what they might be seeing or witnessing. And I think that for me personally, I like it when horror does that. Sometimes it's like, yeah, I want to see this thing or this creature or this whatever. But there are times when I don't see it and I'm content with that and I'm fine. Like, because sometimes when they do reveal the monster or what it looks like, then I'm like, oh, that's it. Like, I'm supposed to be scared of that. So I feel like in this sense, I feel like it worked for me because the actors were giving these very emotional reactions to what they were seeing. Like they were like when Sarah Paulson was driving and then there was like tears welting up in her eyes and she was like, oh my God. And it just, there was like so much like distraught and just like kind of horror in like their face that it's like, oh my God. In my head, I was like, what could they be witnessing that's this horrific, or what can they be looking at that's what is it? Like, I didn't know, obviously nobody knows. They didn't show us, but that allows me to just, my mind to just keep like turning and going, oh my God, what could it be? And then I start to kind of freak myself out and start to scare myself because I'm imagining, the most like unimaginable, horrible things. And I still have no clarification as to what it is. So it's like that, for me, that scares me more than them showing me like a cheesy alien or a creature that just looks stupid or that doesn't really scare me or really doesn't, it isn't riveting or doesn't move me in any kind of way. So that's why I personally don't mind that they didn't show us the creature. Okay. But I know a lot of people are pissed that they didn't. I think Oscar's one of them.
I think that it just adds to the story that you're watching. I understand like, the nature of scary stories and things like that when you don't know it, especially when you're hearing it, it can freak you out. But I think for movies, when they have a monster that you are able to see, I think it helps cement that story for you in your head. Like in the same way that, you have Pennywise the clown and you have these iconic monsters. They still may scare you or may not scare you. That's always just going to be your level of,
it's like what
reality.
Scares you.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So I think like to me when movies decide to not showcase the creature or whatever it is that's there, I feel like it loses some momentum that it could have had on its side. Not to say that it therefore makes the movie terrible or it's not watchable, because the Blair Witch is a perfect example of one that effectively works when you don't see it, but you start to see freaky things happening around them, and you kind of get and I think to me for that movie the symbol became those sticks. Mm-hmm. That became the symbol of the Blair Witch for people to be like, that's a Blair Witch. But this movie, Bird Box didn't really have anything outside of just your emotions really on the highest level of like tears and committing suicide, which to me, that's why I think it would have been a nice way for us to have seen what exactly they were seeing to some degree, because I'm really just trying to think of like, was it like a mind control that you see it and it's actually just killing you, but it's at the same time it's getting torture out of you, so it's making you see your worst thing, but it's really controlling your mind. Because to have some people do what they did to just end their life was really, really like, you know, heavy. And to just imagine like what, like, I'm trying to think myself, what is my worst fear that I would want to kill myself instantly? And the only thing I could think of is like having a bill that's over like $1 million. That's my debt.
Well, see, the thing about that too is like, okay, so they're saying it's like you're seeing your worst fear or whatever.
That's, yeah.
But that wasn't the case with every person that killed themselves.
Right, because some said, yeah.
Because some, like, just heard, like, a family member calling them or something. Like, the woman who got in the car that was on fire.
Mom.
So it's like, she wasn't seeing... I don't think she was seeing... It didn't seem like she was seeing her worst fear. So there are things like that in this film. I wish there was more clarification. Like, exactly. I wish we could get some, like... Somebody can go, no, this is what it was, like, concretely, and tell me that's what it was.
Like, it would have been nice if there was a character that survived, managed to survive. Like, maybe he was on the brink of killing himself, something stopped it, or she stopped it from getting killed, and was able to continue on, but had this post-traumatic, you know, experience. That would have been nice to kind of witness, to really be able to get at least some idea of what that person was feeling. Maybe, and they could have described it, you know. Obviously, we won't. It's very tough for us to visually be able to be like, oh, I can totally see why I would follow the same steps. But maybe that person would have been able to be like, no, you really have no control of your mind. It's like someone cutting off your fingers in front of you. And I don't know. It's like maybe to some description would have been nice. I did like the challenge, though. I thought that was fun for this movie. Not being able to see your surroundings. I felt like that was a nice challenge for a movie to be able to navigate through. Obviously, for us, we had a little bit of advantage that we actually can see some things, you know.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, the way you had to interact outside when they were in the car, I thought that was really creative to be able to showcase like these characters have to go to these different things for the plot to move forward, but we have to make sure that visually they can't see, which may impact how our viewers see. So I thought that was really nice on how they made the movie work with this concept of you're not allowed to see what this creature is, despite us not really seeing what it was.
So. And I really liked the opening of the film about, you're talking about not seeing, and she was explaining to boy and girl how they have to keep their blindfold on or they will die. It was a very, very intense kind of opening. And it was like it like puts you right in the heart of like what's going on in the world.
I kind of interpreted it's like the movie setting the ground rules for like what you're going to see in this movie.
Yeah.
Like I know it was being told to characters, but it was also being told like to the audience of like this movie is going to consist of something we cannot see. So,
if you take your blindfold off, you will die. So it's like, oh, dang.
I don't have blindfold.
What? Yeah, I'm going to die. Give me a blindfold. Somebody give me a blindfold. But yeah, it was crazy. And for them to, you know, and then to have to like the whole journey that was kind of, you know, intertwined within the film of Sandra Bullock and boy and girl going down the river and trying to find, you know, the safe haven. I mean, that was intense too. That was a build up in and of itself because we knew that at some point somebody had to look. But yeah, I don't know.
And I will say, I loved the two stories that were being told, but I didn't love them being told at the same, or like try to intertwine and try to tell them at the same time. I felt like we could have easily gotten one side of the story and the movie would have still been effective. I don't think we needed to see, like, if you're going to go with this is what the initial reaction was, awesome, that's cool. But I don't think we needed to see the 5 years later of them getting to the destination. I feel like that if the movie would have they could have had a similar way to conclude it. It didn't have to be like, this is where this movie has to end here. And I think this movie is based on a book, right? I mean, I think that's what...
That wouldn't surprise me.
Right. I wouldn't be surprised if it is based on a book. But like, the 5 years, if it would have just been like, oh, we established that this is, you know, 5 years after this initial outbreak and, you know, a lot of people are dead already, I would have been okay with that too. I feel like either one that they would have decided would have been very effective. I know they were, if that's the case that they were adapting the book, I know that they wanted to be faithful and tell both stories. But yeah, it's kind of tough. That's the tough part about adaptation because as a book, it works because a book you can take your time exploring whatever aspects that the author wants you to explore. Versus a movie, you're going to be restricted to an hour and a half to maybe 2 hours and 15. Normally is the range that most movies go for. So, it wasn't clicking to me because it opened up with we already knew she was safe with two kids, and then it does 5 years earlier, and so it's just like, oh. Now we know who survives and who doesn't. Kind of. Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean,
or at least we don't know how they are not present anymore. Like we just know something happens that they're not present. Even if it was just like they went separate ways, we just know they weren't going to be with us 5 years later.
Right. I gotcha. No, it is, and that is a risk. I think whenever we kind of had talked about this in the Upside episode where it's like you take a scene.
All these movies
midway. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like they go, like that's the hook. Let's take the present and put that at the forefront of the film, and then we'll flash back or we'll go back or journey back to see how it all unfolded. But that is a risk too, because that opening can be very telling, because it's like we knew, at least for I don't think the actor, the guy who became her love interest, I forgot his name his character's name in the movie, but was it Tom?
Yes, Tom. Yeah.
Well, by the time Tom came on screen, and then once we realized that they were kind of developing this relationship together, I knew he wasn't gonna be around because he wasn't in the opening. It was just her with boy and girl traveling on the river, so we knew he wasn't gonna survive. Something was gonna happen, or maybe he survived, and maybe it'll be like at the end of the movie. I don't know, but I knew he wasn't gonna be on that journey with them through the river. So it's like, you got to be careful because that stuff can be really telling. And somebody might completely ignore it and miss it and go, oh, I didn't even think about that. And then other people like Oscar, who hates that, is going to pick up on that. And then it's going to ruin the whole movie watching experience.
Watch me become a filmmaker and that's all I use.
Every movie, it's like the same thing. Same formula.
Same formula. Yeah, it just, I don't know. I feel like I understand you want to make that big opening statement. And to most cases, that's what you need for an audience to be like, okay, I do want to see this movie play out. But I just don't think that the flash forward, flash back is your only way of being able to hook someone. Like we could have had it where, you know what? The one that I do appreciate, the ones that is not necessarily too far into like the story. It's kind of like a little glimpse of like something happens, and then they show you like the last 20 minutes before it happened. That like to me is okay because it's like a brief glimpse of just to kind of set the tone, and then you see how it builds up. I know there was a movie that did that I can't remember what it was.
Wait, say that one more time.
It's not too deep into the plot. Like it's like the opening, and then it just says like 15 minutes earlier. Like it does a quick like this is how our characters got to where they're at, and then the movie moves forward from that. Like there are some that take it very short with the flashback, flash forward sequence, but most of the movies like to do like this is how we get to the third act, or this is where the third act is at. So yeah, those are the ones that I feel like are losing the strong hold because things are, you kind of know what's going to happen.
Or I even like when a film will take something, it'll take a story, it won't show you the very beginning, but it'll show you just a little bit into it and go in sequential order for the whole film and go all the way to the end, and then at the very end it'll show you that very, very first initial, like the beginning process. For instance, like Contagion, I don't know if you remember that movie, but like where I think it started like day 2 or day 3. Well, that's how we started the film, right. And we go all the way to however many days out, and then the last scene is they show us like how day 1 started, how it happened. And I think that can even be really, really effective because I wasn't even thinking of day 1, the duration of the film, and then when they flash back to this is exactly where this outbreak happened, and they trace it back to day 1 and the patient X, patient A, or patient 1,
patient 0,
patient 0. Then it's like, oh my god, like so that can even be effective too.
Right.
I think order in which you show how a story unfolds, whether you show it in like from start to finish or you piece it together, or you I think that can really play a part in how the film's going to be reviewed and accepted, and just kind of the mark it leaves on your audience.
True. That's very true.
So, filmmakers beware.
The Reel-ists podcast is aware of this method used in movies. Is Sandra Bullock's character your favorite in this movie just due to what she was supposed to do for the entire film. Because Tom, to me, kind of was like a great character that we got introduced
I know.
to.
I really liked Tom, man, and I wish.
Wish he didn't see the creature.
I wish he could have made it, and he like even kind of sacrificed himself for their safety, and it's just. I'd say, I mean, he didn't have a ton of screen time, but I mean, he didn't have that little screen time either. I'd say Tom and Sandra Bullock probably, but you know what? I even really liked John Malkovich's character. Came off very like mean at first, but and very blunt and very tell it like it is, and almost insensitive. But I mean, in the long run, he was kind of like he was right about some stuff, and. I think we need those characters as equally as we need the nice ones or the saviors and the white knights.
That's true.
That come in.
He was definitely a surprise in like the development. I thought he was going to stay one dimensional and be like the one that's always just negative on everything and not and to some degree maybe accurate. Maybe he was right. But like if he was wrong, he was still going to be negative about it. But no, he was developing.
He did, and there he was layered and I think he was one of my favorite characters too.
Yeah, and there was some great ones. Charlie with his humor that he would bring. He kind of set some background information about like the kind of what like the threat was in some sense. And then the thing that I didn't like was there was a few characters that also didn't get developed much, and they were just kind of. I understand that they were there in the settings wise, like there was a home, it was a shelter, so they went in. But like the one that comes to mind, the two was the boy and the girl that hook up, and then how they have very minimal. They leave, and then like that's the end of their story.
Yeah.
The older lady who becomes like kind of like the nurse temporarily when they're having the kids. She didn't do much. So like there was some that didn't get an opportunity to shine. The one that irritated both of us was when what's his name? The one from The Outsider who came in during the middle of the movie was Gary. That was his name. Gary. When he came in, and at first, and that's the thing too, because we both were like, would I let him in? That was a scenario that's kind of like, what would you do? Would you let him stay or would you kick him out? And I think I had said I would let him stay, and it turns out it's like one of those games where you make that choice and you see the results.
Yeah.
I would have died because I'd let him stay.
Yeah.
So yeah, he was.
But I probably would have let him in too. He sounded like he was. He was begging for help, and he sounded coherent, and and like normal. So I would have. I think naturally, I probably would have let him in too.
And that's the tough part. It's just like what happened. Everyone died. Everyone that was in their house. So yeah, and Sandra Bullock, I think, was able to keep the momentum for both the flashbacks and the present. Because you kind of saw that she always had this kind of alertness of like, she's trying to make it work with what she's in her situation. Not like the real life actress, but like the character is trying to deal with what's going on. So I really think she did a great job of being able to carry the movie for the most part on the back of her. I don't know what on her back. I don't know, the back of something on her vehicle. Apparently, she's driving. But yeah, so I really think that. So I would say she wasn't alone. She had great side characters that helped make this more interesting, but she managed to keep her own.
Yeah.
So, any favorite scenes?
I really liked. I mentioned the opening. Probably my favorite one, which was oddly one of the more disturbing ones, was when Gary went upstairs after Sandra Bullock and the other woman gave birth to the babies, and then he like started ripping open the blinds and was like trying to make everybody look. That was really disturbing.
Yeah, very, very disturbing.
But it happened to be one of my favorite scenes.
Because it was.
To me, it was horror, and like that was horror, and it's like I'm not gonna say in its purest form, but it was horror. Just the way he was like
you
looking out into and he was like, look how beautiful it is, and he had such a deranged look in his eyes, and he was trying to make everybody else see it,
and succeeds for
and succeeded, and then poor Sandra Bullock under the kid, and under the blanket with her kid, and then she goes and saves the girl, and she's like, please just give me the baby. Oh my God, like I almost cried. Oh, That was a very, very intense scene. Like when you talk about a scene that is intense,
That was.
Oh my God, it was that one. So that
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to say that was my favorite.
Understandable. Very understandable.
Oddly enough.
Yeah, I to me that one and the opening, I think I agree with you on both of them. They both set the tone of how scary this creature is. The first one is the unknown, which always freaks you out because if you're in that situation, you're probably as panicking and running around, not knowing what you're doing kind of situation. And then once someone that's like destroys your home shelter that you've established, that's scary too as well. Mm-hmm. I also will say that, and on top of that, the one that also kind of was making me nervous was when they temporarily pull to the side in the future, I guess in the present tense, and she goes searching for like stuff, and the little girl decides to be brave and like go find her. That one was another scary
and that
one.
the voice was her voice saying, "You can take your blindfold off.
Yeah.
It's okay." Oh my God! I was like, "No way, no way! You're gonna make me like journey with these two children, and then you're gonna like take one of them from me at the end of the film."
Oh, and then when they were in the bow, and she was like, "I'm gonna choose the one who's gonna."
Yeah. We were all thinking it. We were all like, "She's gonna make girl look."
Yeah.
But then we were like, but then she'd be the worst human being. I mean, she wouldn't. I guess someone would argue, but I mean, she can't make her son do it, right?
Right.
See, that's the argument.
The
So
son
it's
was like, "I'll do it," and she was like, "No, I'll pick."
yeah.
Well, what's left by process
I
of
know. I
elimination?
was like, you got a willing participant here. I thought I either thought she was gonna say like, "We're all gonna look," or "I'm gonna look. You guys stay here," or something. I didn't think she was gonna say like, "Boy, you look," or "Girl, you look." I was hoping not, at
She was
least.
gonna
And then,
or something else was gonna save them,
or something. But the fact that she said no one's gonna look, I was like, no. Like when she said no one's gonna look, we all like, we all exhaled.
Yeah.
Like thank
We're all
God.
gonna die.
That could, all dying could have been a possibility. Would have been like a game over. Instead of saying the end, it would have said game over. The other part that when they're in the store, and again the creature was like mimicking one of Charlie's friends, and Charlie was like, "I have to help," and that caused essentially his death. And then after like it like killed him, it did the sound like the crying again of like, "Please just open the door," and it's like that's disturbing. Because the monster is just like, I'm doing what I can to feed. I'm assuming it's feeding. I don't think it's kill for no reason. I feel like it's a version of
That's absorbing something.
Yeah, it's feeding from the soul or something.
Yeah.
So, with all that being said, what is your real score for Bird Box?
I'm gonna give Bird Box a 3.5 out of 5.
Nice.
I thought it was it's a really good film, and I think that I think by now it's so hyped up, so it's like, hopefully we don't have like a Ruben situation where he's like, "Oh, I mean, it was okay," but hopefully your expectations aren't super high. But I think it was a really, really good film. Solid performances, a really, really interesting, thought-provoking concept. It was moving, and it was entertaining and enjoyable in a like bad way to watch. Like, oh my God, I shouldn't be witnessing this, but I can't look away kind of deal.
Yeah, understandable.
Suspenseful, and just, I think a great film on Netflix right now. And I think you should check it out if you have a Netflix account, or you know someone with a Netflix account. 3.5.
Or a free trial. If you haven't done it before, you get a free trial.
That's right. That's true. You can still watch it.
I know some people do that for like new shows that they've been waiting for, and they binge watch season, and then since they didn't, like, they finished it in 1 day or 2 days, they don't have to pay.
Oh, that's smart.
But obviously it's only like new subscription, so as soon as you do that, you have to create a new email and all that. It's crazy. People try to get away with it. My score is just going to be a little bit lower. It's going to be a 3 out of 5. I thoroughly enjoyed it. As like I said, it was like a one run. You just see it once, you take in what it gives you. It just didn't give me enough to want to go back, want to be able to see more, get more information about this place. If anything, I'm more curious about like how the filmmakers made this movie, like that approach, than the actual story of it. I did enjoy the thrill, the suspense that it provided. I thought the performances were great. Obviously there were many characters that we had feelings for and thoughts about, so I thought that was effective. And yeah, it's just a very interesting concept, but it's very tough to really pull that off, where if we can't see the monster, in my opinion, and to be able to make us be scared of that creature too. I know we felt scared for the characters, but for ourselves to be scared, it's kind of tough. It's a tall task. But 3 out of 5 is going to be my score, so that's mine.
I wanted to say I also really, really loved all the memes that we've been getting and all the stuff on the internet about the Bird Box. We have the Bird Box challenge that people are doing,
which is not encouraged by Netflix.
Do not try it. It's dangerous. And then just
let me go do the driving bird box challenge. It's like, what?
And then just Sandra Bullock with the blue blindfold over her head. That's just become like its own thing.
Its own internet meme.
So many funny memes, but I've appreciated that. Ruben, what's your real score for Bird Box? Because you've seen it.
That's true. So it's not a 1. 4.
Wow. 4 out of 5 for Ruben.
So see, all these other movies are like, can you come watch us then?
Right, for real. All right, man. Okay.
So when he sees
I didn't think you were gonna give it that high of a score.
That's
to be
true.
honest.
Yeah, I agree. I didn't think so either.
It was a little higher than I should.
As of right now, 4 out of 5. Okay.
And what he could think of, he thinks highly of.
Remember, at the end of 2019, you can renege on one of your real scores.
Oh my gosh.
All right. Well.
Well, as you can see, he's very selective on his movies. So
yeah, he is.
He might only have 8.
I know. The choice might not be that hard.
But yeah, so listeners, let us know what you thought about this movie. If you liked it, if you are on the same page as me and Donnie, or if anything different, we'd love to hear all feedback of your movie. Not your movie. Of your thoughts.
Of your movie.
Of the movie everyone publicly
gonna get a bunch
funded.
of like movie scripts.
Right. Oh gosh. That'd be fun though. Not too bad.
It'd be interesting.
But yes, you can follow us on social media on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Team Reel-ists, Team REELASTS. I think I said that fast, so I'm saying it one more time. Team.
Slow it down.
REELISTS. Just in case maybe people, I realize maybe people are just like, I don't know what he's saying.
We do say it pretty fast, and I think we've said it so many times, so it just falls out of our mouth like a freaking
right, exactly,
like a one-word thing, like we REELISTS.
Right, they're just like, I want to search for them, but I don't know.
They're not spelling it slow enough for me to like write it down.
Next week we'll say it phonetically, so stay tuned. But yes, let us know about that. You can also leave a comment on YouTube, and if you really enjoyed this episode, you can review us on iTunes. But thank you for tuning into this episode. We hope you enjoyed it, and until next time,
see you guys.